Well, let's return now to the breaking news about the discovery of a body in the search for the missing teenager Jay Slater in Tenerife. Let's talk now to Chris Pennington, who's been involved in the search for Jay and joins us now. Chris, just tell us a little bit about what you've been doing out there.
Hi, good afternoon. Yeah, we've been involved. We've responded actually to a call from the Guardia Civil to go and help with their search, which was due to start on the 29th of June, if I remember correctly. I couldn't actually go that day, so I went the following day, the Sunday, and that was the day that the official search was called off. So myself and two friends, colleagues, we were using the research and the information that we had gathered, and we started to conduct our own search in that area. Essentially, our thought pattern was to put ourselves in the mindset of Jay, and at each step or each position along that track, based on the information that we knew to be true, what decisions would Jay have made? And essentially, we were trying to track his or retrace his steps and track him through the mountains. We've been working for 3 weeks, and we've done a number of recce's up on the site, particularly the point at which we believed he left the road and came down into the thicket, into the bush area. The actual location of where his phone last registered, which we found. And from there, we used the process of elimination to actually track Jay through the mountains. I was there again on Saturday. One of my colleagues was in the ops room. He was tracking me with satellite and location software. I had another colleague with me for safety, because we were going to have to, I was going to have to come off into the ravine for us to thoroughly work through our hypothesis. I actually got stuck on Saturday, and at that time I was exhausted from the heat, extremely tired, couldn't make my way through the ravine, so we couldn't finish our recce the way we would have liked. I actually had to make my way back up to the trap, which was exhausting. That whole area is a heat trap, and as you get into the middle of the day, it's almost unbearable. So yeah, we understand the terrain. It's virtually impossible, but we believe that Jay, had he have gone into survival mode, gravity was taking him down into the ravine, and really his only lifeline would have been to head for the coast and head for the ocean, because it would have been impossible for him to turn back and come up to the road. Absolutely no way.
And how close was where you were searching, do you know, to where this body has been found?
I don't know exactly the point where the body's been found, so I don't want to speculate. But from the research that we had, we believed, I was trying to get to a place less than 500 meters further on, because this is where it becomes, the ravine is, the cliffs and the drops are a couple of 100 feet. And had Jay have made it that far, unfortunately, he would not have been able to get down there safely. He would have been dehydrated, confused, scared, lost. And at that point, you just have to think that, he would have had an accident. Certainly an amateur like myself, there's no way I could have got to those cliffs and navigated my way down. The only way it could have been done is if the Guardia Civil or the Spanish military brought in a specialist team to go back and search that area. It just isn't safe for people of my capacity or amateurs to go and search there. It really is treacherous terrain.
And you're a former Army reservist, and you're obviously pretty tough, but you found it hard. It does kind of give some kind of indication, doesn't it, how a 19-year-old who is possibly not quite as life experienced as you may have easily got into difficulties.
Yeah, this is the thing. Had Jay been going uphill, of course, when you go uphill, you always have the chance to come down. But unfortunate for Jay, he was going down into a ravine. And once you start going down, it's almost impossible to get back up. Like I say, the heat exhausts you. He would have been in survival mode and just desperately trying to head for the coast. Unfortunately, he was completely unaware of what was ahead of him. but I also was unaware, and this is why we used simulation. We used LiDAR tracking systems, so that we knew what was ahead of us or what was ahead of myself walking down there. And unfortunately, you get to a point where it's a man trap. You're trapped down there, and the only way for Jay to have gotten out was to just keep heading for that coast. And unfortunately, it was an impossible situation for him, you know.
Are you surprised it's taken so long to find him?
No, not at all. It's to search that area, you have to be focused on your own steps. It's that dangerous. I mean, I'm banged and bruised and scratched and cut, and I had the proper kit to look after your own safety and make sure you don't fall and come to injury yourself, and search for somebody at the same time. It's almost an impossible task. I mean, the Guardia Civil have done a phenomenal job. I can't express in words just how difficult it is.
Well, Chris Pennington, really interesting to talk to you. Thanks so much for joining us today on Sky.
Thank you.
Now, England's players have arrived home following their defeat to Spain in the final of Euro 20.
Jay Slater's body was possibly found on Saturday, 2 days earlier than we were told.
And we are told on Saturday that allegedly an anonymous tip-off had been received in relation to the ongoing search for the missing persons case, which is obviously Jay Slater. I don't know what form this was, whether it was a shady phone call or a letter or an email. I have no idea what format it was, received in by whoever it was received by. Now, what I do know on top of this is on Sunday, when the Euros final is on, bars, clubs, restaurants here are kicking. And I'm not just talking with locals, there's tourists, there's German tourists, UK tourists, everybody's here. And everywhere's really busy. Now, everybody that I seem to bump into or hear the conversations on Sunday were talk of the town is they found remains in relation to this case. I don't think any more of this, because I've already heard someone on Saturday, a pretty decent source from the Coast Guard, saying, oh, there's been a tip-off and, apparently they're going to go and search for it. So I don't think any more of this on Sunday. Monday, I look at the UK media. I like to stay, abreast of what's going on back home. It's easier than looking at Spanish media, more relevant to me. And there's the breaking news from the BBC that they have just found remains, and they, suspected in the area where Jay Slater was last seen, or where his phone last pinged. Now, this is a head scratcher to me. So I'm like, well, if we're hearing this locally in Tenerife over the weekend, that there's been this apparent tip-off, this information received, that people who aren't locals on Sunday at a Euros final game are talking about this, it's really strange. Now,
30th, after calling in volunteers for a, quote, last push search a day earlier, the search operation has now finished, although the case remains open. A well-placed source added, the daily operation, which has been going on in and around Masca, close to where Jay was last seen, has been brought to an end. If any information comes in that merits a new search...
Most missed this. Civil Guard's words, Ray the Lopez Lower Ravine, not searched. Also see the drone search operator. One man with a small screen. Automate the drones and record.
Okay, so they're basically all to do with the Mountainous stuff. This is what he said when he was asked, can you make it to the sea down the Juan Lopez Ravine? This is what he said.
You reach the sea directly from the area you were searching?
You can reach the sea. In fact, last Saturday I went along the whole path. There are old paths which are only occasionally used because it's a cliff with very little attraction for sporting purposes. But you can reach the beach along them. So I reached the beach. We didn't find anything. It's a path that goes above and not along the bottom of the cliff. It has drops, and what's needed are ropes to get down. And we also know he was not equipped for that.
How difficult are the difficult areas?
There are rocky drops that you cannot get beyond. You can only get down with a harness and ropes. The people searching that spot today will have to turn around, I think, because they don't have the necessary equipment. And anyway, the best that Jay could do was simply to walk.
Unfortunately, you get to a point where it's a man trap. You're trapped down there, and the only way for Jay to have gotten out was to just keep heading for that coast. And unfortunately, it was an impossible situation for him,
Are you surprised it's taken so long to find him?
No, not at all. It's to search that area, you have to be focused on your own steps. It's that dangerous. I mean, I'm banged and bruised and scratched and cut. And I had the proper kit to look after your own safety and make sure you don't fall and come to injury yourself and search for somebody at the same time. It's almost an impossible task. I mean, the Guardia Civil have done a phenomenal job. I can't express in words just how difficult it is.
Well, Chris Pennington, really interesting to talk to you. Thanks so much for joining us today on Sky.
Thank you.
Now, England's players have arrived home following their defeat to Spain in the final of Euro 20.
Trap. If Jay's got that far, remember, all he's got no fluids, he's got no phone, he's got no communication, he's in a strange place. Now he's lost and now he's scared. No one in the world there to help him. And at that point he finds himself in a man trap. The only thing he's got now is survival instinct. And his survival instinct is gravity. Gravity's going to keep taking him down. Remember, he wasn't climbing mountains, he was going down them. And he was heading for the coast. Now, unless the Guardia Civil or the Spanish military are going to put on another search and really search the areas that we're going to post, then my belief is one day someone else, a hiker, will get in trouble in that barranco, in that ravine, and they'll have to be saved. And only when people go into it again with a search party, I think, are we going to find Jay. Let's say he was lucky and he managed to get through it all against all the odds, and he got to the beach. Even when he got to the beach, it's like something out of Pirates of the Caribbean. There's no access to the beach, only by that barranco or by boat. Jay has made a series of mistakes, not knowing the consequences of those decisions. Jay is stuck somewhere in that barranco, in that mountain, lost. One day he'll be found.
Did Civil Guard actually help Luggy? Or did Luggy help Civil Guard? Civil Guard did not help Luggy. But who did help Luggy that is above Civil Guard? Well, it was the Spanish government. The Spanish government on the mainland, they actually gave me direct access to the government servers to get data that I needed to help track Jay down. So when the Spanish government gave me the direct access to the servers, to the information that I required to help in that search, the government department would have gone higher, then turned around and the higher department would have said, instantly give it, because they know the implications. They're already roasting in the oven. And so the Spanish government gave help in that sense, that they did not restrict me. They helped me in English. They showed me how to navigate everything I needed and to gain very, very fast access to the data that they were holding. So yes, the Spanish government helped me. The Spanish government know that. I've got
Prefer to be hated than loved, I will be honest to you, because when they say they love you, you don't really know. When they say they hate you, trust me, they hate you.
And so dense, I could not get through it. If I had a machete, if I tried to bulldoze my way through it, and my life depended on it, I probably would have got through it. But it was not safe for me to try and get through it. It was so hard. It's a man trap. Once you're down there and you're in trainers, you're not scrambling back up, you're trapped. It's a man trap. And at that point, you got two options. You roll over and die, or Jay kept going, somehow found his way through it, and after that he was going to meet the biggest challenge you'll see on the map. Then he's got, you know, cliffs to get down and rocks to get down and to get down to the path to make it way through it, and after that he was going to meet the biggest challenge you'll see on the map. Then he's got, you know, cliffs to get down and rocks to get down and to get down to the path to make it to the beach. I think honestly what's needed, he would have been exhausted. I'm blown. I came all the way back up. I'm just done in. It's not safe for me or anyone else to go and search down there in the bottom of that ravine. The mountain rescue have been down there, the Guardia Civil have done a great job. But in my opinion, I think the Guardia Civil needs to call in a specialist unit from the Spanish military, and they've got to go back to that ravine. They've got to go back to the V point where the cliffs are and the rocks are, which leads into the boulder alley, the boulder area that goes right down to the beach. I think they need a specialist military unit to come in and research that area. And so dense, I could not get through it. If I had a machete, if I tried to bulldoze my way through it, and my life depended on it, I probably would have got through it. But it was not safe for me to try and get through it. It was so hard. It's a man trap. Once you're down there and you're in trainers, you're not scrambling back up, you're trapped. It's a man trap. And at that point, you got two options. You roll over and die, or Jay kept going, somehow found his way through it, and after that he was going to meet the biggest challenge you'll see on the map. Then he's got, you know, cliffs to get down and rocks to get down and to get down to the path to make it.
just to provide a little update with regards to Signy's O'Condon. Now, their involvement in this after Jay had been found was to track where Jay had gone. Now, the Signy's O'Condon team's dogs picked up Jay's scent from the Airbnb, and they followed the trail all the way to the valley where the phone was last pinged. Now, at this point, when the dogs were resting, a message came in stating that a body had been found. However, it was still unclear in terms of where this was. So, during the evening of the same day, the dogs followed the trail right to the place where Jay Slater was found and taken by helicopter out of the ravine that he was found in. Now, the reason for Signy's O'Condon to continue with their search after the body being found was to find the actual place and to provide the family of Jay more clarity about the journey that Jay took from the Airbnb. Now, Flex was one of the main dogs, and Royce also. They managed to get to the point where the body was actually found. Now, this took around 2.5 hours, and it was a very, very tough search due to the foliage, the weeds, the bushes, and especially the cacti. Now, drones were also brought in to check their area, and that was due to how steep the ravine was, and it was inaccessible by foot. All in all, the Signy's dogs managed to track the full trail of Jay Slater from the point that he left the Airbnb. This has provided a significant amount of information and clarity, which was the main thing which was sought by the family in terms of Jay Slater's last steps and journey.
Something like that. After 3 weeks or so now, there was a sort of paucity, a vacuum of information, if you like. Nobody knew what the hell was going on. There was no sign of him. He just disappeared one morning and was never seen again. They found his remains in the end after about 3 weeks. But in that 3 weeks, my God, the conspiracy theories were off the scale. A Facebook group had 600,000 people involved in coming up with what they thought had happened. And those conspiracy theories, I understand it. People are going to try to fill the information vacuum, but they got nastier and nastier and nastier. And I just wonder why people want to be so nasty about people who are in a kind of rather traumatic situation, and we're talking about Jay Slater's family, of course. Let's talk to psychotherapist Lucy Beresford. Thanks for joining us, Lucy. I mean, what is going on here? As I said earlier, as I said to you as well, I understand why people come up with theories of what's happened to missing people. There's no information, it's intriguing, it's a mystery, people are attracted to mysteries, and I think sometimes conspiracy theorists get too much of a hard time. But when it turns nasty, it really is alarming, and one of the people searching for Jay Slater, a guy called Matthew Searle. He's the chief executive of LBT Global. They help search for missing people all over the world. He's so furious about these conspiracy theorists who he said wrecked the search. He's vowed to track them down and bring them to justice. But what is going on, Lucy, when we get into these situations? What's going through people's minds, these 600,000 people who joined the Facebook group? What are they thinking?
Well, not all of the people who joined that Facebook group joined it with malicious intent. Quite a lot of people are fascinated by mystery and they want closure. That's why mystery stories and thrillers and detective novels are so popular, because they present you with a puzzle and then they provide you with a solution. And that's almost like the perfect human experience. What we're not so good at as human beings is dealing with the unknown and things that don't have an ending. And when there is a void of information, then we tend to fill it. So a lot of people will have been jumping on that Facebook group to try to find out what was happening, and also to perhaps play a hero in their own narrative. Perhaps they would find a clue that other people had missed. But where it starts to get really disturbing is the way in which, and social media amplifies this, is that it allows people to ignore the personal. It depersonalizes anybody who's involved in the story. So that would be Jay Slater himself, before we found out what had actually sadly happened to him, his family, anybody who was working on the search. These become people who are depersonalized by some of the people at the more florid end of the spectrum. Yeah. And therefore they speak and communicate about them and come up with the more outlandish theories as if they weren't people, as if they were characters in a novel.